and welcome to Assembly Audible. I'm your host, Jennifer Pierce, and today we're broadcasting from the 11th annual Assembly Show. Joining me from the Community Hub on the show floor is Greta Cutulenco, the CEO of Acerta Analytics, and my friend and co-host for today, Meaghan Ziemba, who is the host of Mavens of Manufacturing. Welcome and thank you for joining me today.
Really excited to be here.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer.
Yeah,
I'm super excited.
This is so exciting. I can't wait to learn more about your work and the activities you're participating in at the show today. So let's just dive right into some questions. Tell our listeners about your Learning Theater presentation here at the Assembly Show today.
For sure. So Acerta as a company, we're focusing on predictive quality, which we find is a very important kind of transition in the quality landscape away from reactive approaches that customers are applying today to much more predictive, data-driven ways of managing quality. So I'm really going to be diving into what does predictive quality mean as a term? How do you implement and realize that in a manufacturing facility or across your organization? And then especially why I believe it's so important kind of as we think about scaling production of electrical vehicles, because it's a very huge push right now, especially in the automotive industry for this, and it's a huge topic that can really help manufacturers do this efficiently and get to market very quickly. So
Awesome.
That's going to be the focus, yeah.
Okay, and thank you for telling our listeners also about Acerta Analytics. I probably should have started there, but we dove right into the show content. But so how is Acerta Analytics involved in the EV space, and why is data in this area the subject of your presentation today?
Yeah, so many production facilities today, as they digitalize, they really need to think through, how do we include new sensors in our existing equipment? How to kind of transition that equipment to start generating data, and basically how to move those facilities into the 21st century. But if we think about electrical vehicle facilities, they're often very new lines and very new capabilities being built. So they already have some of this new technology being built in. So there's lots more data available and lots you can do with it, especially in applications of AI and machine learning. And so from that perspective, kind of where we've been focusing on is really helping customers ramp up production much quicker by leveraging that data to kind of get ahead of issues. So whereas today, as you're ramping up your production, you're kind of finding out as you go what's working, what's not. You're kind of firefighting in production all the time. But with data and kind of by applying this analytics, we can actually streamline that much more and kind of help the line engineers and your program managers ramp up much quicker. And that's really been the focus.
That's interesting. So you're talking about like real-time problems, like stuff that's unfolding currently,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you would have to react quickly.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what challenges are manufacturers of EV parts or those who are adding electrification lines into existing facilities experiencing currently, and why?
Yeah, so a couple of things. These are new product lines for some of these tier ones. So as a result, it's really gaining familiarity with products that they haven't had, 100 years or so of production experience with. So it's learning the new products, but it's also learning how to control the process differently to make sure that they're not having recalls slip into the vehicles, or not having a lot of rework and scrap internally, which is just hitting their margins. If you think about a lot of EV producers today, they're not yet making profit on some of those vehicles, and part of that is kind of that learning curve of figuring out, how to really scale that production. So that's kind of some of the challenges they're facing, and we believe that's a challenge that data can have a major impact in solving.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much. We're going to switch gears, and my co-host for today, Meaghan Ziemba, is going to ask you a few questions. I know we're really curious to know more about your background.
Yes. So I really like digging into the personal information of guests that come on to Mavens of Manufacturing. So data is something that doesn't really get me excited about a lot of things, but there's so much being collected, especially now with all these digital transformations that companies have to go through. So what is it about data that you get particularly excited about? Like, why is this so important for you to be part of this niche for manufacturing?
For sure. I really got excited in terms of well, how do we change how quality is being approached today in production? My background was I was working at Meaghan, focusing a lot on quality and safety applications, and just in observing the industry over the last 7+ years at Acerta, it's a very manual effort and it's very time consuming. So if you think about vehicle production or industrial equipment, it takes a very long time to get new products to market, whereas we want to be getting those into market much faster. So what got me excited is really how data can help accelerate time to market for new products and can help really transform how quality is approached in the industry today.
Another impressive thing about you is that you are on Forbes' list of top 30 under 30. Now, I'm 40 years old and I still feel like I need to work on myself to get some of my life put together.
Same.
How was that, what did that recognition mean to you? And what would be some of your advice to other women in this sector to get to that top level that you've succeeded at such a young age?
Oh, for sure. Say it was very exciting. It was definitely humbling, to be named on the Forbes list, especially so early.
Yeah.
But it really kind of was a great way to do the recognition, both my efforts but also our team efforts in terms of bringing innovation into the industry. And I think it had or said a lot for the type of innovation we were doing at the time or continuing to do today. And seeing others recognize that predictive quality and changing how quality is done today is an important topic, and us really venturing to create a business around it, getting that recognition was fantastic. And in terms of kind of how to achieve, I'd say, one thing that really drives me is my passion and really the vision for what I want to accomplish with Acerta, but also generally in terms of the change I want to see in the industry. And I'd say following that passion really was kind of that driver for me, and I would recommend, if you're feeling passionate about something, kind of venturing out and doing it. It's scary, but it has a lot of benefits and excitement aligned with it.
So one of the key words and buzzwords going around in the industry now is artificial intelligence or AI. And on your profile, we're pushing the automotive and off-highway vehicle industries beyond explainable machine learning and towards what we like to call actionable AI. And that's the first time that I've seen or heard that term. So can you define what actionable AI is and why it's so important?
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually something I'll be also covering a little bit in my talk today. But I really feel that a key ingredient in making AI work in manufacturing is making it actionable, meaning operationalizing it in such a way that it's not just some nebulous model that's kind of running somewhere that nobody trusts, but it's really kind of brought into production in the way that line engineers, quality engineers, or process engineers can actually leverage that information to take action and actually fix things or avoid things in production. And I think that's very different from how more general AI may be approached, because sometimes you really get caught up about, well, am I creating the most accurate model? Is this the best model I can create? And the funny thing is, when you create those complex AI models and put it in production, and we've seen it ourselves, the people on the floor, they just don't trust it. So they start turning it off, they start avoiding it, they want to go back to the ways that they're used to doing things. And I really kind of ascribe that to the fact that it's not actionable, it's not operationalized as part of your day-to-day workflow on the production floor. And so we really look at taking the power of machine learning and AI, but really making it actionable so that the line engineers can actually work hand in hand, and kind of almost taking that co-pilot concept that it's helping them do their job rather than kind of just sitting there being a guru that nobody's listening to.
Great. I have one question, if it's okay.
Yeah.
And it really sparked my imagination. Well, so earlier in my career, I used to work in trend spotting and reporting. And I'm curious why, or what is it, or what sparks the AI being the buzzword? Because I mean, truly, now you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. And so what do you think was the catalyst that sparked the trend? And then also, I want to know, is AI, is it new? I mean, what was it that made it, so big all of a sudden?
No, that's a great question. I'd say over the last decade or so, there have been innovations in that world that have made it more applicable to broader set of capabilities. Like AI has existed, or concept of machine learning and AI, since the 80s, I believe, or even prior. So it's not a novel concept, but I think it really kind of, it existed in the research labs for a very long time. And in the last decade, kind of, there's been more and more real world applications that started to come out, that started to spark that imagination of how to apply it. And just in the recent year or so, right, with large language models and ChatGPT, that again sparked a new realm of imagination.
Yeah.
So I think it's really kind of getting a sense of those use cases that can be applied.
Totally.
That's making it.
It's almost like they're trying to market it as something you now have access to as well. You know, it's not just something theoretical that you can also download this app or do this or that and the other. Well, thank you for answering that question.
Well, I think too, like, people outside of our industry, when they think AI, immediately they think of all the movies that had the robots that are taking over the world and stuff. So there is a bit of like misconception around what it actually means and the benefits of it. So it's like, yes, that's one aspect of it. No, we're not quite there with the Will Smith movie, but you know, we're almost there. One of my last questions, and I always try to do this with my guests on Mavens, but I always like to give guests an opportunity to ask our audience something. So for the assembly audience here, if you had one ask for them, what would your biggest ask be for them?
Yeah, really to keep an open mind in terms of, you know, how data and how concepts and capabilities like predictive quality can make an impact in manufacturing. There's lots of things you know, at the production or on the show floor today that are really, you know, novel machines, new technologies that are improving the measurements that can be taken, that are improving the type of automation that can be brought into production. And I think that's all fantastic innovation that's creating kind of new capabilities on the production floor. And really it's an ask to start thinking, you know, a step further. How do we leverage that across the organization to not just create, you know, performance dashboards, but really move further into this predictive quality or predictive operations direction.
Awesome.
Fantastic. So if our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about Acerta Analytics, where should they go?
For sure. You can email me at greta@acerta.ai, or you feel free to go on acerta.ai website. It's acerta.ai, and contact us through that.
Thank you so much, Meaghan and Greta, for your time. It was such a pleasure to collaborate today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Assembly Audible. We invite you to join us for one or both of our 2 shows next year, the Assembly Show South in Nashville and the Assembly Show back in Rosemont in October. For more insights on assembling discrete parts into finished products and the people behind it all, visit our website, assemblymag.com. I'm Jennifer Pierce, signing off from the Assembly Show. Thanks for listening.